All right, here we have a standard studio strobe and a softbox. Now, please do not let this big heavy stand throw you off. Most of the time we use very, very inexpensive lightweight stands. Here in the studio today, because I want to be able to roll this around to show you guys, we put it on a heavier stand. You do not need a big, heavy, bulky stand like this. This is actually a very inexpensive strobe. This is one of the ones that we use in the studio all the time. It's called an Elinchrom BXRI 500. You do not need an Elinchrom BXRI. This is just the brand that we use. There's a lot of different brands. Alien Bees is a very popular one, and you probably have a strobe at this point, and that's what I'm going to be assuming, that you're going to have a strobe. If you don't have a strobe, we're going to talk about that in just a moment. But the great thing about these is that you're going to have to find some way to make this strobe fire. When you press your shutter button, it's going to go off. How does that happen? Well, you're going to need a wireless controller, or you can actually run a cable from your camera all the way to here. But picture in the studio, you have this light back here, you're way over there, and you've got this big cord traipsing across here. So most people go with a wireless transmitter. The nice thing about these lights is it has the wireless receiver built into the light, and when you buy the light, you get a little trigger to go with it, so it actually fires the light wirelessly. That's a big advantage of these particular lights, but you don't have to use these. There are all kinds of lights. You can use any strobe you want and any wireless system. Another really popular one are called pocket wizards. One attaches to your camera, one attaches to the little slot in the back of here, and it does it wirelessly. Now, a couple of things that you'll need to know. Almost all studio strobes come with what's called a modeling light. You see how there's actually a little light on me right now? So the modeling light does a couple of things. It's usually very dark in a studio environment. So number one, it gives you some light in the studio. Because if you didn't have modeling lights on, chances are it would be pitch dark. But the big thing about these is it gives you kind of an idea of what the lighting is going to do. As you move this thing around, you can kind of see what happens to your subject. You can see a little bit how the light's changing on me. So as you're moving the lights, you get an idea of how the light is going to affect your subject. It's not perfect, but at least it gives you an idea. Also, most decent strobe lights will let you turn the power of the modeling light up or down as you go. So you do get a little bit of control over that. Now, the great thing about strobes are you can change their power. This is a 500 watt second strobe, which means you can go from very, very bright, and then you can turn it way, 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 way down. And you'll see in a little while why there are instances where you want to actually turn the power of the strobe way, 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 way down. You'll see that in a little while. There's not really much to using a studio strobe. In fact, it's actually pretty simple. You hook it up. In other words, you put the power to it. You turn it on, and you turn on the modeling light. A little switch in the back turns the modeling light on. Then you're going to set up your wireless receiver on top of your camera. Now mine, and both of them, they all fit right on the hot shoe on the top of the camera where you normally put a flash. They slide right in there. And that's pretty much the setup. You're ready to go. So they're not really, really complicated. I think people think there's a lot to setting up a studio strobe. The only part is just getting that little wireless part together, all right? So, and again, it's easier with this one because it's built in. Now, what if you don't have a studio strobe at all? Well, then what I recommend is going with something like this. This is called a Westcott Spider Light. It's a TD5. This is perfect if you, number one, don't have any studio experience and for some reason this stuff scares you. This is perfect. What this is it's a light that's always on. It's continuous light. So you just turn it on and it stays on. It's way, way brighter than the modeling light. In fact, let me go ahead and turn this one off if I might. Roll it out of the way. Okay, so I want to show you the inside of this to give you an idea how it works. So if you look inside, it has huge fluorescent bulbs. They're just these very large white bulbs, and they turn on and they stay on. The advantage of this are, number one is they're always on. You can see exactly what you're doing, exactly how you're lighting things the entire time. You don't have to worry about waiting for a flash to go off. Exactly what you see through the camera is exactly what you're going to get in the shot. Number two, you don't have to worry about wireless. They're just lights. They're on. The great thing about them is they're ice cold. You don't feel any heat from them. So you can shoot anybody with them, and you don't have to worry about them saying, oh, these lights are getting so hot, I can't take it. It's really ice cold. It's great. Also, they're daylight balanced. The actual color of the lights themselves are designed to mimic daylight. So the color they produce is natural. And number five is the light is incredibly soft that comes from them. So if these are so great, why doesn't everybody use them? There's always one little gotcha. The one little gotcha is they don't produce as much light as a strobe, which means if your subjects move a lot, you could have some blurry photos. I wouldn't shoot toddlers with this. You know how kids, you can't stay still? But if you're shooting product shots or a subject that can stay still, like we have professional models, if we say ready, 1, 2, 3, they hit a pose, you can take the shot, no problem. Now, although when I am shooting with this, I will usually shoot on a tripod because with a studio strobe, you never have to worry about it. The light here is so fast and so powerful, it freezes the subject. Your subject can take their hair and throw it up in the air and boom, it freezes it right in the air. That's studio strobe. Continuous lighting, stuff needs to be still. Unless you want slightly blurry photos. If you're into that slightly blurry look, these are the ones to get. Now, I'm going to turn on just one of these so you can kind of see what the lights look like. These are incredibly simple to use because there's only 3 switches on the back you can even use. It's on a little, on medium, on a bunch. That's it. There's just 3 switches. So there you go. Now this is what I love about this. It's kind of cute. That's the modeling light. It has a modeling light. I have no idea why, because all the lights stay on. Or you can just turn one of the regular lights on. You can see it's really bright. And because we're using a video camera here, I'm not going to blow it out by turning them all because they're quite bright. I will do a shoot with this in a few minutes so you can actually see it in use. But now, so it creates very soft light, and then it gets softer by putting this diffusion panel actually over it. It even gets softer. Now, if you get these, I want to give you a little tip that'll help you use them. When you buy these, you buy the lights separately. It's called a Westcott TD5. Now, there are other companies that make fluorescents. These are the ones I use, but you can buy any one you want. But when you buy it, you buy the light itself, you buy the bulbs, and then you buy a softbox. If you buy one of Westcott's softbox or anybody's softbox, there's going to be something you're going to need to remove from the inside only when you're using Westcott spider lights. There's going to be a separate baffle. In other words, when you look inside of here, do you see these there's little white tassels here? These things attached to this will be another square. What that square does with strobes, it's important when you use strobes, is the last thing you want is to see a bright circle here. You want the light to be even as it comes out. Well, they put a baffle inside of there to help disperse the light so you don't get a big bright spot there. With these, you want to let more light through. The lights themselves are already soft. The strobe light is harsh. That's why you have to have a baffle and then this to spread it out. So open your softbox when you first buy it, take out that inside baffle, and then put this on. So you will not use the inside baffle with spider lights. You will use the inside baffle with everything else. All right. So those are the 2 things we're going to use today in the studio. We're going to use studio strobes mostly. We use a little bit of the spider lights, but I just want to let you know about both of them just in case you haven't bought any studio gear, you're thinking of getting into it, you might want to start with these first. And if you're doing product photography, if your main thing is like you're selling stuff on eBay, want to do product photography, get the spider lights. It will make your life easier. If you're shooting subjects that don't move, these are great. If there's movement, it's time to go to these. All right. Now, in the next segment, we're going to look at soft boxes. We just talked about this particular one, but we're actually going to go ahead and set up a shoot, go ahead and do it, and talk about different soft boxes, which ones to use and why.